All right, we're going to give this a try. So, I've been thinking of new ideas for videos that I can do that would be interesting to you, uh, as well as to me. And one of the things I was thinking about is how much I have been influenced over the years by TV shows and movies. So I'm going to do a series of videos. I don't know exactly how many it's going to be. I'm going to start out with stuff that I remember from my early childhood. And I think you'll be surprised by I picked three that I want to show in this video. And yeah, I found out a lot of information about these things. I mean, I was born in 1966, and all three of these shows that I'm going to be talking about were made well before I was born. So there's a lot of information that I didn't know, and you may not know, and I want to share that with you as well. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I did researching it. So stand by. We're going to start out with the first one here in a second. How many of you remember that? The Rifleman. The Rifleman, it was a Western TV series that started, let me see, the first episode aired 1958. I was born in 1966, so it's a little bit older than I am, but that's okay. It ran from, it has 5 seasons, first released September 30th, 1958, ran until April 8th, 1963. So 3 years before I was born, that's when the last episodes were aired. And a little backstory on the guy that played it. His name is Chuck Connors. Chuck Connors is a big guy. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", and he's a former baseball player. And I guess he played football as well. So that's actually a 20-inch 1892 rifle that he's throwing around like that. And if you've ever messed with a lever action rifle, you know that they're not quite as smooth as that. I mean, they could be made smooth. I've actually worked on a couple and I actually recreated the Rifleman rifle for a guy best I could with the parts that were available, because I didn't really want to cut one up and weld it up or anything like that. But yeah, so his character is Lucas McCain. He's a Union Army veteran of the American Civil War and a widower. He lost his wife. And the funny thing is, he was a lieutenant in the 11th Indiana Infantry Regiment. I'm from Indiana, so I did not know that. I didn't know what his character is based on. Series was set in 1880s, so he's running a 1892 rifle, but the show was set during the 1880s. So 12 years before the rifle was made, this is when this supposedly took place. The cool thing about it, it is a 4440 lever action rifle that was modified. It has a, I'm going to be rolling some pictures in here as well. It's been modified. The lever on it is actually drilled and has a set screw in it, so he can actually, when he racks it or when he spins it and pulls it close, it actually will fire the rifle. I'm sure the ATF would love the shit out of that now, having something like that would make it fire automatically. I'm reading all this shit off here right now. Trigger tip set screw, 2 configurations. One had the screw head turned inside to close the trigger, and the outside of the trigger guard lock nut on the outside to secure its position. And then when he squeezed it, it would fire. So the action scene that you saw at the beginning of that, he's actually doing that. That's not CG or AI. That was literally him doing that. And I guess he was actually a pretty good shot with the rifle. Obviously, they didn't use live rounds in it. It was blanks, and I guess it was, I'm trying to think what they called it. A lot of this stuff, I really did not know this stuff, I swear. I just know, having 2 older siblings that they grew up in Arizona, they really liked Westerns, and this is one of the shows that I got to watch, whether I wanted to or not, as a little boy. Let me see, that's about the rifle itself. It was obviously designed by John Moses Browning. Gotta love John Moses Browning. And let me see, is a 5-in-1 blank cartridge containing smokeless powder. So it didn't have the big plume of smoke coming out when he fired the gun. And supposedly he could fire it in 0.3 of a second. I'm trying to see where I read that. If you're curious about it, there's an episode. Third season episode called Miss Birdie, Bertie, and it's a close-up of the rifle itself and the large loop. If I can, I'll roll these pictures in as I'm talking about it, so you'll see the video cutting in and out as I'm talking about this stuff. And supposedly he never carried a pistol because he had that rifle. And why would you carry a 6 gun when you can carry a 12-shot? Now the funny thing about it is the intro. He fires 13 rounds. Well, the gun only holds 12. So they did that in order to make the sound match up with the music. So, but yeah, I found that very interesting. And like I said, I'm going to throw in a bunch of pictures of the rifle. Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, in 1892, and the show was supposedly set in the 1880s. So, gotta love Hollywood. Anyway, so moving on to the next one. Ready? Okay, the second one. It's a little confusing. I know it was for me because I was under the impression that Davy Crockett and Daniel Boon were the same person. One of them was a fictional character based on another. What I failed to realize is they are actually 2 totally separate people. And I think it would be a good idea that you do the research and look into them yourself, because I'm quite intrigued with both these gentlemen, Daniel Boon and Davy Crockett. But for the relevancy for this video, I'm going to talk about the TV and movie characters, Davy Crockett and Daniel Boon. Both were played by the same guy, and I think that's why it was confusing for me as a little kid. The TV series is a Walt Disney production television series, was 1954 to 1955 on ABC. And then a television series, Daniel Boon, the first one was Davy Crockett. The television series was 1964 to 1970. So I would have to actually go back and watch the videos to see which one I remember the most. I remember the Disney one because it was always on Disney, and I enjoyed it. Interesting fact about both the shows is he uses a flintlock rifle, and I'm not big into flintlock rifles, but I'll roll some pictures in of the rifle that was used in the production of both things. I'm not sure if it's the same rifle that they just made look like something else for another one, but another Fess Parker, the dude that played these guys, he's another big guy. This dude's 6'6". I mean, I think Chuck Connors was 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", something like that. I'm not sure. Pretty freaking tall guys, big dudes, and both the guys were veterans as well. But yeah, it was really intriguing. The more that I read on it, and I'm going to show some pictures and throw some pictures in as I'm talking, because I don't want you to get bored with what I'm doing. But Fess Parker, he enlisted in the Navy in the latter part of World War II, and he wanted to become a pilot, but he was too fucking tall to be a pilot. So he tried to become a radio gunner, but he was too tall to fit in that. So he finally transferred to the Marine Corps as radio operator and shipped out to the South Pacific shortly before the war ended. So he served. He didn't get to do any of the things that he wanted to do. Finally became a Marine so he could go do something, which is, admirable to him. But the TV series, Davy Crockett, it was a mini series. I didn't realize that. 3-episode version of Crockett depicted his exploits as a frontiersman, congressman, and tragic hero of the Alamo. See, that's what I find really intriguing about both these guys. Both these guys were in politics. And I don't know what your politics are. I don't care what your politics are. Donald Trump's still your president. It makes no fucking difference. But regardless, I'm being a smartass. Not really, but yeah. But yeah, he played both characters, and he wore coonskin caps in both of them. So it was a little confusing. Yeah, but that's not the movie that I'm thinking of. Anyway, I digress. So here's the pictures of and I'll try to keep them in order as I'm doing this, as the Davy Crockett rifle and the Daniel Boone rifle. Now, there's some differences, not much that I know too much about because I'm really not that into those kind of weapons. But yeah, a lot of reading. There's a whole lot of reading you could do on these guys. Daniel Boone was a bad motherfucker. Both Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. Daniel Boone was born in, I'm moving around so I can see my computer. He was born in 1734 and he died at 1820. Interesting. And then Davy Crockett was born in 1786 and died 1836. Is that right? Yeah. Obviously, Davy Crockett died at the Battle of the Alamo. That's what he's really more famous known for. Republican Party before 1833 and became part of the Whig Party in 1833 to 1836. So, yeah, I'm trying not to touch on the politics too much of it. But, yeah, both the guys were very, very interesting lives. I suggest highly that you look them up. But, yeah, the rifle that the TV show, I was intrigued by the TV show because of, obviously it was cool, and I actually had flintlock rifle and flintlock pistols toys as a kid, and I still have a flintlock pistol even now, and I think they were part of the Davy Crockett toy kit that you could get. It had the flintlock rifle and the flintlock pistol as well. But yeah, so that's the second, and I'm trying not to run on too long about this. I'm just really intrigued about both of these guys. The more that I see here, the more I want to read. But I want to get the video done. And there's actually if you go to, and we've seen it before because we've gone to the Alamo, we've seen the Alamo. There's a display and it shows Davy Crockett's rifles. There's one that was owned by Davy Crockett, and then there was one that was presented to Fess Parker, who played Davy in the 1950s. They're very similar. The one presented to him back in the 50s is pretty long. They're about 5 foot, 5'3", 5'5" total length, and that's a long rifle. So anyway, so that's Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. I don't know if it makes any sense to you. I'm trying to make it make sense in my mind. But yeah, so those TV shows, and for some reason when I was little, I thought they were the same. I really did. Didn't really realize until later in life, like, I don't want to say an hour and a half ago, but yeah, an hour and a half ago, I didn't really realize that that's what happens when you assume. Makes an ass out of you and me. So anyway, so that's my second favorite TV shows. I think it may have just been the character, Fess Parker, that I was enjoyed so much about it. So anyway, there might be some more pictures I'm rolling up as we're doing this. And then we're going to move on to the third one. And I don't think it'll come to a surprise as anybody on the third one. So stand by. Third one. So really, did that come as a surprise? I mean, everybody loved the Lone Ranger. I know anytime I heard that music started playing, my ass was in the house to watch the TV show. I love the TV show. Yeah, Clayton Moore was actually, there were two guys that played the Lone Ranger. Clayton Moore is the one that I know of. Uh, I don't know who the other guy was. I don't even care. I give a shit about who the other guy was because Clayton Moore to me is the Lone Ranger. Um, yeah, he's another veteran. Not quite as big as the other guys. I think he was only like maybe 6 foot, 6'1" or anything. The other guys are all like huge. They're 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" in some cases. There's one of the dudes that played westerns that was like 6'7". I can't remember who that was. But yeah, he carried a pair of, got to double check, make sure that I'm getting this right. They were second generation Colt single action Army pistols, 5.5-inch barrel and 45 long Colt. And I'm rolling pictures in, as you can see. And I'm not a cowboy gun guy. I'm really not, but I would love to have those. Those are so badass. But yeah, so yeah, Clayton Moore and the pistols. And I don't know if you remember, I remember vividly he had the black rig on with the studs on it, and the nickel plated pistols, and he rode Silver, or was that the horse's name? Yeah, Silver, Hi-O Silver away. It's been years ago, guys. Give me a break. Let me see. What is this? So the picture that I'm showing here, this is one I like the best. And it's got the information right there if you want to stop it and read it. Serial number is 58918, originally manufactured in 1880. That's really cool. So they were actually functioning pistols that shot blanks, which is cool. And instead of nowadays where they are not, they're blank firing, but they're not actual functioning rifles in most cases. So yeah, there you go. That's the pistols, and I'll roll a picture of Clayton Moore in costume, and yeah. So those are the three things that really I remember as a kid. So stand by, let me wrap this up. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up best I can. So my three favorite were the Rifleman, Daniel Boone / Davy Crockett, and the Lone Ranger. And like I said earlier, I am really not a cowboy. I'm not a cowboy, period. Even though I do live in Texas now. But yeah, the Rifleman, he had an 1892 large loop modified lever in order to fire the rifle rapidly. Then Vest Parker, the flintlocks. Then there are actually 4570s that were modified to look like flintlocks, so they could fire the blanks in the rifles themselves. Now I don't know if the rifles that he used were actually functioning rifles that just were blank firing, or if they were actually just blank firing. The Lone Ranger, nothing really spectacular, Colt single action Army. And the majority of the cowboy shows and stuff from the 50s and 60s and everything, they were either 1892, 1873 lever action rifles, and then Colt single action Army. Josie Wells is one of the only other, and that's a movie, and I'll get into the movie stuff. I don't even know if he's going to make my my list for movies that I enjoyed as a kid. I mean, I did enjoy the movie because I love Clint Eastwood. But yeah, so there you go. That's the first three characterizations and their weapons that they used that I remember the most as a kid growing up. So hit the comment section and tell me what shows that you liked, what characters it was, and if you know what weapons they used, let me know. I'd be glad to hear it. So that's it for now. I'm going to start doing the research on the stuff I remember as those were when I was a little kid. I'm going to look into when I was a teenager and things like that. So it's going to get to be a little bit more contemporary with the weapons and more like what we know that we have now. So anyway, this is Jeff, SRT Armor, here on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Have a great day. Jeff out.